So this video is going to be on more surface techniques, and I'm going to jump right in and just start with a technique using masking tape, or this is painter's tape, or really any kind of tape will work. Masking tape does tend to work best, and masking tape is great because it comes in a variety of thicknesses. Ideally, I love half-inch masking tape, but that's not to say this is 1.5 inches, I think. I'm not sure, but this is what I have on hand. And what I did before to prepare for this video, I did coat 2 coats of the white slip to one side. And I'll just come close and show you. It's getting a little bit hard to tell because of all the sides that I've previously used, but that's 2 coats of a nice even layer of white slip. And then I'm going to take my masking tape, or I'm sorry, not masking tape, but my tape, my painter's tape. And this technique is great for almost like a candy cane effect. You know, just it's a way to block off and be really exact with your lines. You saw in this side here where just a cutting curve can be really accentuated really nicely. But if you want a very straight edge, and I've had students in the past when it comes time to, making your coiled vessels, students in the past have used tape, masking tape, painter's tape, a variety of different tapes to use around their 3-dimensional form and create a nice line, almost like a banding technique. So that's what I'm going to show you here, how you could achieve something like that. And unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention and it's not long enough. So I'm going to have to make that strip again. And this tape is not really ideal, but I'm using with what I have. And when I say it's not ideal, it's not as sturdy as masking tape. It makes thinner paper, and I find it's a little bit more problematic to work with. But hey, it's okay. So take that masking tape and just tack it down. It is a little difficult to get the tape to really adhere to moist clay. I mean, it's leather hard, but then when you put the slip on top of it, it can add more moisture, so then it's still not very dry, and it can potentially be difficult to get it to stay in place. So I put 1 piece of masking tape down, like so, and then depending on how far you want to go, I'm just going to and all you're doing, right, is you're just blocking out, just like we did with the paper resist, except for this is tape, and you're creating another barrier so that when you do put on another layer of slip, it blocks it off. And keep in mind, you can also, I guess I should show you, this is just another paper cutout, and I could put that on top and just like that. So I'll come closer to show you. So I have that, and I'm going to put a layer of slip on top of that. Bang out my brush. Having an extra towel is always helpful around your sponge. Can't stress enough the importance of preparing your workstation before you work, right? Make sure you have all your tools nearby, make sure you have a source of water, Just will make everything go that much smoother. And before you add the slip to your brush, keep in mind you don't want it really sopping wet. So try to get a lot of that moisture out if you can. And I'm going to use this red iron oxide slip that I have and literally just paint right on top. And as I mentioned in a previous surface technique, is if the first one, the very first coat is usually not enough, right? As you can see, it's pretty transparent and it hasn't really absorbed into the clay. But perhaps you like that effect and you want to go with that. I, however, am going to do one more coat, just 2 coats. Using my manila envelope, I'm just gonna try to speed up the process, drying process. And then you could wait a little bit longer, but to save some time, I'll just go right into the second coat. Cannot believe how fast the weather's changing. Soon going to be fall. It's kind of crazy. So you can see second coat, but you see how here it's streaking a little bit. If you run into that problem yourself, know why, that the reason behind that is that it's just not dry completely. So it just kind of smears a bit. In order to avoid that, you would just have to really truly wait till it's no longer tacky to the touch and then apply another coat. So I'm going to push this along a bit and get underneath the tape, peel that off. This one's definitely a little bit more messy because I was not patient, but you can still get the idea of what you can achieve. And when I meant by the banding technique, I just threw that flower in there to show you again of how fun you can create more like a geometric exact line with a little nice added floral. You can mix and match all kinds of possibilities. But that banding, when I mentioned in a previous video, or I'm sorry, the beginning of this video actually, was just how you can apply masking tape to a vessel and create like a banding technique all the way around it. So that's how you could achieve that. And I highly recommend playing with that on your cube. It can be a nice fun thing. Even that floral, there's that little nick down at the bottom here. You see that? It just adds a nice, really great little effect. And it would even be greater, in my opinion, if I let, the red slip dry enough before I took that off. It would be more true and more of a crisper line. So another thing I want to go over in this video is how you can use slip in a painterly way if you so desire. I mean, we are using it in a painterly way. I just mean you can take the thick slip in your container and use it. And when I say slip, now is a good time to mention that I'm not using the decorative slip. I'm not using the white slip or the cobalt carbonate slip, or in my purposes, the red iron oxide slip that I have. I'm using slip not with any coloring in it. Slip that is literally the clay body that I'm working with, the clay body that you have, and slate down to make the gluing slurry slip that we use to attach. But you can also use that slip as a decorative means as well. So I just want to briefly go over, if you were to want to try that, well, just kind of that section I did here. I have a container of my gooey, sloppy slip here, and this brush is pretty big. But I just want to show you how you can, you know, droop. You know, you can play with droops of clay, just kind of using gravity. And it may appear quite messy now, but once that dries, you can really get a nice little effect. And I'll show you that before the end of the video as it dries. What you could do is take your sponge, and as that stiffens up and dries, then you can bring out your sponge a lot so it's just slightly damp. And then you could go over, it's really wet now, so I'm not going to be able to do much, but I could take my sponge and just go over it, and as it dries, it adhere to itself, get drier and drier, and then you would have like a nice line that's coming out, you know, like more of a relief coming out from your cube. That's not to also say that you, as you have working on your size of your cube, I've had students make small forms. Maybe it's floral, maybe it's geometric, whatever design that interests you, you can actually add pieces onto your cube and then have a whole other layer. And that's something we can work on in multiple projects, whether it's the functional, the vessel, from here on out, the projects. You can always add clay as you're working to make another on the outside, as well as you saw carving into. And then for this video, I do want to just throw in here is a good time to expose you to writing text into clay. And I had one student in the past, when she was experimenting with a variety of techniques, she wrote a poem into a few of her sides, and it was really beautiful. So she just took her needle tool and she just wrote into the clay. So I just wrote text in there, but you could have white slip with a nice background color, really any color, and just write into the clay to create words, your name, poem. And it's a lot of artists that do actually incorporate written statements into the work to express a lot of variety of different things. So that's that for this video, and be sure again to check out the other surface technique videos that are available.